Everyone, today we're announcing our next generation, the RTX Blackwell family. Let's take a look.
We need to talk about Nvidia. Did Jensen go out and sign another breast at CES this week like he did last time? That's what signaled the top last time, right? I don't know if he did that again this week, or was it the ugly jacket that he was wearing? He looked like a cruise ship singer. Either way, all jokes aside, Nvidia hit an all-time high today, but then also had a 6% death candle. So we have to talk about Nvidia. Where does it go from here? Is this just a sell the news event or a sign of things to come? There are also major implications for Tesla, Uber, Toyota, among other companies. 3 companies which I'm actually invested in. And then towards the end of the video, I will give you my trade on Nvidia. So in a nutshell, what happened to Nvidia from a technical perspective? It hit an all-time high today. Yesterday, as of the time of this recording, so Monday, January 6th, it had an all-time high close. However, it seemed like all of that was forgotten because we had a 6% death candle today, which is one of the largest drops that Nvidia has had, at least the largest since September 3rd, when Nvidia dropped 9%. So first, let me just give you a little bit of a summary of what he discussed, of what Jensen discussed at CES. But basically, the main update that the market wanted to see was an update on Blackwell. So Blackwell is now in full production. Remember, there was all of that hype back when Nvidia was yo-yoing around here. There were all those news stories about how Blackwell wasn't ready, how Blackwell maybe had some issues, how Nvidia is not going to be able to meet production. Well, now he announced that Blackwell is in full production. And for those that don't know, Blackwell is their flagship AI chip. It is their current updated engine of AI. So they're going to have a flagship model for sale later this month for about $2,000, and then a more streamlined version for launch later in February for $549. One of the coolest things to come out of CES from Nvidia was their new line of AI models that they're calling Cosmos. Now, Cosmos is basically photorealistic video that can then be used to train robots, to train autonomous vehicles and other autonomous services, which is really cool because that means that, you know, in the future, you can simulate these things and you won't need thousands and thousands of hours of actual real video. So imagine that you're trying to train, say, an autonomous vehicle model, right? You can simulate thousands of hours of driving on certain roads, certain types of roads, right? Certain conditions, etc., in order to train autonomous vehicles, as opposed to having to go out and collect that driving data manually. So they're going to be using a version of this and partnering with Toyota to build its next generation autonomous vehicles. Now, Toyota is a company that I'm actually bullish on. I actually invested in it. I did a video about it. I also updated my full thesis, my full Toyota thesis in the Discord as well. You can see here that I have 150 shares of Toyota that I bought at 176. Hit a high of 200 recently, currently trading at around 193. So that position is doing pretty well. Jensen also said that NVIDIA's Drive OS will be powering their new cars. And he said, I predict this will likely be the first multi-trillion-dollar robotics industry. Now, another company that I recently invested in was Uber. So not only are they working with Toyota, but at CES 2025, Uber teams up with NVIDIA to scale autonomous driving faster. So one of the reasons that Uber suffered that drop was because of Tesla's robotaxi and Uber seemingly being priced out of the autonomous driving space, right? Just because they hadn't really announced anything. People thought that, oh my God, Uber's business model is dead because once robotaxi kicks off, there'll be no more reason for people to take Ubers. However, those of us that know how moat and how business works, a company like Uber is not just going to take robotaxi lying down. Of course, they're going to try to come up with a competitive product. Whether they do so or not in the future, who knows? But for sure, the cash the cash reserves that they have, that's where most of the R&D is going to go to for the next stage of autonomous driving, right? So NVIDIA announced that they are teaming up with Uber as well in order to support the development of autonomous vehicle technology. This is what makes the opportunity with NVIDIA incredible for the long term, in my opinion, because if you think of every autonomous vehicle in the world, every autonomous car company, not only are they going to need something like the Drive OS software, something to train their autonomous systems, but obviously they're going to need AI chips, right? They will need the physical chips as well. If you think of every warehouse that will need a robot or robotic services in their warehouse, if you think of autonomous services for, say, industries like truck driving, and we won't even mention the Optimus-like robots that will likely be ubiquitous throughout the entire world in every industry. So when you think of the scale of where NVIDIA can dip its hands into, right? The scale is almost immeasurable. It's hard to foresee because we don't know what the future will look like yet. You just know that the future is going to be full of these autonomous services in every industry, in almost every single machine, in every single vehicle, right? And then there will be new machines such as the Optimus style robots as well. So it's hard to imagine where this thing can scale to, right? This is why NVIDIA's price continues to grow, because the valuation, it continues to grow into this almost seemingly uncapped valuation. All right, so let's talk about NVIDIA's chart real quick. And by the way, if you want access to all of my analysis in real time, all of my plays, etc., use the link in the description. Trade live with me every single day. If all you want is just access to the long-term investing, the long-term options plays such as leaps, there is a tier for that as well, which is at a reduced rate of $35 a month. We're still keeping it at that for a few more days or a few more weeks. I don't know. Sign up below. Either trade with me live every day or sign up to the investing only membership. But looking at this is almost a dream setup for NVIDIA. There is a caveat here. So let's just break it down technically, right? We had this level, this block of orders here, right? Clear demand level for NVIDIA. We tested it once, we tested it again, huge bounce from there, right? We have this downtrend from November. Here's the downtrend here. We clearly broke out of that. And like I said, it doesn't even seem like we made an all-time high today, Tuesday, January 7th, because NVIDIA had this death candle. So, you know, it seems like the market even forgot that NVIDIA made an all-time high today, right? But forget this candle here. Essentially what you would want to see, right? Like say this candle didn't exist here. And I just showed you this. Essentially, if I told you that NVIDIA came down here to test previous resistance as support, let me pull up the moving averages real quick. But came down here to test previous resistance as support, right? So not only do you have this trend line here that we are going to retest, you have VWAP that's right there. You probably can't see it, but it's this little purple line. This right here is where market structure broke to the upside, and now you are retesting it, right? You also have the 20 moving average right there. So if I told you that NVIDIA came down here at some point, would you go long or would you go short? Right? Of course, you would be thinking longs, right? You broke out to new highs and are retesting previous support with all of those confluences that I talked about, and you are thinking long. However, the character of this candle right here is what is scary, because engulfing candles can spur momentum, in this case to the downside, because this is a bearish engulfing candle, right? However, it did stop right there at the support level that you would want to see for a break and retest. Also, we know from NVIDIA's history, when it has these large engulfing candles, right? Like I talked about back in August 7th, as well as September 3rd, when it has these large engulfing candles, they are usually we are usually closer to a bottom than a top. NVIDIA doesn't really create these engulfing candles at the top. Here you could see another one back in April 18th, right? In April 18th, it was down 10%. On August, what did I say? August 7th, it was down 5%. September 3rd, it was down 9%. Now we are down 6%, right? So NVIDIA doesn't typically create these engulfing candles as a signal that it wants to drop. And like I said, where it dropped to is important, but I would not begrudge you if you said, I'm not going to go long here because this candle right here scares me. However, here's the way that I look at it, right? In my view, I told myself yesterday, right? I told myself yesterday before this candle that if we get a retest, if we get a break and a retest, I will go long from here, right? And essentially where I would stop out is below 133, below here. Below here is where my exit would be, right? This is, to me, if we close below 133, where this play is no longer valid. And just to get back to these all-time highs is a 2-to-1 play. So I'm okay taking, risking just a little bit in order to see a bounce from this area of high confluence here. Now, I'm under no illusion. I'm the one that told you guys that when the 10-year and 3-month yield uninvert, it's going to likely spell a lot of volatility and probably some trouble for the market, right? Because it will mean that the 10-year yield is going to spike because it has to get above the short-term yields, and that is what we are seeing now. Now, the extent of this spike is really surprising to me. The Fed cuts somewhere around here, and you can see we created this inverse head and shoulders on the 10-year, heading straight towards that 5% mark. And today, as of the time of this recording, Trump came out and said that inflation was too high, which I agree with him. But he also said that interest rates are far too high. So that definitely is a contradiction. If inflation is too high, then you would actually need high interest rates to combat them. Now, the thing that spooked the markets today, or raised rates, was the fact that the jobs data was actually good. We have a lot more job openings than what was projected, right? Projected was 7.73 million. This morning, jobs data came out, 8.1 million. PMI, which is a purchasing managers index, kind of a measure of how well businesses are doing. Here, it came out higher than expected as well. So good data means that the Fed will likely not have to rush to cut. But if the Fed doesn't have to rush to cut, that means that yields are likely going to go up. And we saw the 10-year climb another 1.3% today. That really spooked the market. SPY back down to that 20 moving average. Like I said, I don't think that the uninversion of the yield curve, I don't think that's going to be comfortable for the market in 2025. All that is to say, because this video is about Nvidia, all that is to say that if you didn't buy Nvidia here, I would not begrudge you, but I personally am taking a shot here at Nvidia. I already own Nvidia shares, but I'm taking a shot at a short-term play here using calls in order to see if Nvidia can get a nice bounce from here. So you can see here that I bought 3 of the February 7th 140 calls, which is currently down 7%, but I'm playing a short-term move, and I will exit those calls if we close below that 133 mark. Like I said, I don't need a big move because I bought them at the money. I typically don't buy out of the money calls. I know at the money calls are more expensive, and those of you that want to gamble and YOLO, you like to buy the far out of the money calls because they're cheaper. I would much rather buy less calls and buy them near the money and longer dated, right? So those February calls expire in a month. So I have a little bit of time for this to play out. So I'm not expecting, like a bounce tomorrow. As long as we don't close below this level, the 133, which would put us back into this downtrend here, right? Then I'm okay, and I will hold this till Nvidia gets back to, which is crazy that it made an all-time high today. I have to keep reminding myself, Nvidia made an all-time high today. Nvidia made an all-time high close yesterday, right? But I will hold this to see if we can get back to that 153 mark. My longer term target on Nvidia is 163, which will put it at $4 trillion. And for those of you that watched the CES, keynote, I'm going to call it keynote, even though that's an Apple term. But for those of you that watched the CES keynote, you have to be bullish on Nvidia going forward. There was nothing bearish about that keynote. There were things there that I didn't even know that Nvidia had in the pipeline. So if you want access to all of my plays, once again, link is in the description. If you're only interested in long-term plays, we currently have that still at $35 a month. Sign up to that. And if you're wondering what this platform is, this platform here is called Public. It's a regulated broker in New York. If you don't know about them, you should know about them. To me, it is the best one of these, free options platforms in the bucket of Robinhood, Webull, etc. Not only is public based in the US, not only are options trades free, but they give you a rebate on all options. So you get a little bit of a rebate every time you place an options trade. They also have a wide array of high yield accounts, such as the high yield cash account, the bond account, where you can currently lock in 6.99%. You can even buy T-bills really easily on public as opposed to having to go through the treasury. You could trade margin, you could trade advanced options orders such as call spreads, iron condors, etc. And what's really cool is this AI feature that you can literally ask it any question. So I could say, what is Nvidia's free cash flows? Nvidia has a free cash flow of approximately 16.8 billion. Holy hell, reflecting a change of plus 138%. So if you want to sign up for public, use the link in the description below. Now, one other thing that I did today in one of my other accounts where I exclusively sell cash secured puts is I sold the 120 cash secured puts on Nvidia expiring February 7th. So you can currently sell the 120 cash secured put on Nvidia for $134, right? So currently this is at a less than 10 delta. If you get assigned, you will buy 100 shares of Nvidia at less than $119. So if you don't want to trade something that is uber bullish, like just buying calls, you can sell cash secured puts. And if Nvidia continues to trickle down here, right, like the 120 puts, you basically have to ask yourself, if Nvidia hit 120, which is at the 50 MA, would you buy it? And if the answer is yes, then, you know, if it suits you, you could sell a cash secured put. So that's something else that I did today. I sold the 120 cash secured puts. I sold a few of those and collected $134 in premium. Anyway, traders, that is it for this video. Let me know, what do you think of this Nvidia drop after making all-time highs? Do you think that it's a start of a larger bullish trend? Do you think that it is just a temporary pullback to support and you expect it to go higher in the short term? Let me know what you think down below. Would love to hear from you. Trade with me live every single day. Sign up for a public account. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. Stay safe out there, traders. Peace.